So, marry me. So, sorry about making a third video this day. I find that I often end up making videos in bulk. That suddenly I get this kick that I want to make videos, and then I make several of them at once. And then it might go several days, sometimes several weeks, that I don't make a single video. And then I get the desire to make some again, and I end up making several of them. Guess I'm just strange that way. But hey, it's my YouTube page. I can do whatever I please. And right now, I please to review a occult book. And it's named Tarot Rituals and You. The Power of Tarot, combined with the Power of Ritual by Bonnie Cehovet. This book is published by Schiffer. It's a quite small little book, and what this is basically how to use the tarot for various forms of ritual. And it's quite a nice little book, actually. So, let's have a little bit of a look in the content of this book to see what it's about. Of course, like most books, it starts with acknowledgements. Then it has a preference. Then we have chapter 1, Ritual Defined. Basically, I guess this is the only thing that I have a problem with this book, is that if people are advanced enough with the tarot that they will be interested in buying a book like this, they probably already know what ritual are. Not that all tarot practitioners use ritual, of course, but generally I think that either she should have made a bigger book, or she should have left some of these very, very, very basic concepts. She has a few of the very, very basic ideas about the tarot as well. And I mean, this is not a basic tarot book. This is not something somebody is going to buy as their first tarot book. So she could have left this is what the tarot is, this is what the ritual is, out of it, and then had more room for other things. But yeah, that's a minor gripe. So, yes, chapter 1, Ritual Defined. Chapter 2, Ritual and the Cards, which basically explains how the tarot cards can be used with ritual. And then we have chapter 3, Ritual in a Reading, which is quite useful. Basically, rituals assorted with reading. Like, for example, a lot of tarot practitioners I know have little rituals they do before they start a reading. Sometimes it can be as easy as laying out a tarot cloth and lighting a few candles. Others have elaborate rituals where they ask for the protection and help of various gods and spirits, and ask that the reading will be of use for people and not to harm, and so on and so forth. Basically, it all depends on people's wishes. For me, I find such rituals can help you put in the mood for divination. But for me, I don't find them necessary, and I don't use them very often, but I definitely see the point of them. And then we have tarot, ritual, and personal growth, how you can use this system for rituals combined with the tarot to develop yourself spiritually and personally. Chapter 5, tarot, ritual, and spiritual growth. And basically, those two chapters could basically be one chapter because they float into one another. Then we have chapter 6, honoring the moon cycles through rituals. I really like this chapter, and I think that for anyone who's pagan, that chapter is worth the price of admission for this book alone, and this is not a very expensive book. Basically, a tarot moon ritual and how to use the tarot in generally moon rituals. That's amazing. I mean, it's not the biggest chapter, it's from page 37 to page 45, but yay. Then you have chapter 7, Tarot, Rituals, and the Seasons, which again can be very useful for a pagan. Well, of course, the details here are not that great. It do put you on the path to how to figure out for yourself how to write rituals, more complex rituals, that incorporate the tarot into seasonal celebrations, and that is awesome. I want to do that. Chapter 8, entering the cards, basically particular meditations, astral traveling, and so on, where you sort of enter the world of each card. Chapter 9, Ritual and the Archetypes. which doesn't really need a lot of explanation. The tarot cards are based on certain archetypes, and this plays into that. Chapter 10, Tarot Ritual in Daily Life. I think this is awesome. Like I said, I'm very much a practical magician. I feel that ritual, magic, and your spiritual life should be a part of your everyday life. And any book that has chapters about how to include these things into your everyday living gets a thumb up from me. Then we have the conclusion, a bibliography. Then we have some correspondences in the appendixes. Basically, we have Appendix 1, Color Association, Appendix 2, Crystal Association, Appendix 3, Days of the Week, Appendix 4, Flower Association, Appendix 5, Number Associations, Appendix 6, Dream Symbols, Appendix 7, Tarot and Wellness. Yeah, okay, not all of them are uh, correspondences. I hate it when I forget that word. And not all of them are correspondences. But, yeah. Appendix 3, Tarot and Decision Making, and Appendix 3, Tarot and Your Shadows. And all of these three, in appendixes section is quite okay. They tell you how to use these things in various aspects of your life, how to use tarot in various aspects of your life, and how to use tarot rituals in various aspects of your life, which can be quite useful. So, shall we look at one of the rituals this book has to offer? Let's look at the moon rituals. 37. I like them. Basically, they go through the various forms of full moon, and the full moon in the various astrological signs. Um, and then we have new moon ritual. Let's do that. Let's read that one because it's sort of the first one that popped up. And I think these rituals are nice, but I definitely think that you can write something better. I think that this book is most useful if you have some knowledge of the tarot and have some knowledge of ritual, especially pagan ritual, and then combine it. This book gives you ideas for how to combine it, and then once you know that, you can work on it with the experiences you have to make some even more detailed and personalized rituals. But let's start. The new moon is a time of planting seeds, of starting projects, of placing your intentions out there. The dark moon, the new moon, is also referred to as the dark moon because it sheds the last light of all the moon cycles. That's actually one thing that I'm not used to for how things are named in Norway. Just a random thought to put it out there. We have basically the black moon, which is then the dark moon, and new moon, which is when the moon is just barely visible, just a little bit of a sickle there. So I see those as two different moon cycles, but anyway, it's a time for maturing and a time to allow seeds of thought to grow solid roots. What will you gain from doing a new moon ritual? Clarity of mind, a sense of purpose, a feeling of control over your life, a sense of peace because you are taking action to set and accomplish goals. Yes, like I said, they do bring up, and uh, the ritual is very simple, and I read this because it illustrates both the strength and the weakness of the book. Because in a way, it just spends a lot of time on very, very basic things that anyone who has an interest in this book should already know. While at the same time, it do provide a basis for developing this ritual on your own. Now, where I? Goals, remember that any intention that is put out there, whatever in mental form or written down, carries power. What we think about we attract to us. Make sure that what you are setting the seeds for is what you actually want in your life. Questions that you might want to ask yourself when planning a new moon ritual. What energy does this new moon carry? What are my goals at this time? What seeds do I want to plant? What area of my life do I want to focus on? How do I want these seeds to manifest? Or how formal or informal do you want this ritual to be? The ritual is defined and carried out by you. It can take 5 minutes or 60 minutes, whatever you feel that you want to commit to. From personal experience, I will say that this varies depending on how you feel and the focus for my work. You can spend 5 or 10 minutes giving thanks for what you already have, an important part of ritual in my humble opinion, and mentally focusing your intentions for the new moon. You can choose to write your intentions out or burn them when you are done meditating on them. The intention goes to spirit through the smoke of the burning paper. Note, if you choose to do this, make the paper as small as possible and be sure that you have a big enough heat-proof container to burn it in. So, yeah, and it's the same concept for the full moon ritual and for the various seasons, things, and so on. Like you see, the book doesn't give you that much of a finished, written out ritual. It gives you hints and ideas. And here is a little bit of a problem because an advanced enough practitioner won't necessarily then need all the proof. This is what the new moon is. We already know. Don't set fire to the house with your burning paper. We already know. And so on and so forth. While a new practitioner who might pick up the book for the first time, though, like I said, a new practitioner probably won't be interested in this particular title, will need more direction. Just saying, oh, well, you can sit down and you can write like this, just giving you the skeletal outline of a ritual might not be enough. So it's sort of, I feel the book have a problem with knowing where to put itself. It sort of reminded of the first in the new Star Wars movies, The Phantom Menace, because basically I got that feeling for that movie too. It included Jar Jar Binks and all of that flip-flop that is clearly aimed at younger audiences, but at the same time the plot about planetary embargo and interplanetary politics just went over the kiddies' head, and this is sort of the same. It's written out. The ritual sections are there are very few concrete rituals there that somebody who is a complete beginner would probably need, and nor does it give you a very good, strong description about how to write a ritual. So you will have to know that already. And if you hear that peeping sound, it's the plumbing. My hubby is taking a bath. Hopefully the noise won't be too annoying. Anyway, where were I? Yeah. So you need somebody who knows at least a good part of basics to be able to use the book at that way. At the same time, the book uses a lot of its limited space going over complete basics. Anyone able to use the book and having an interest to use the book would already know. And that's kind of a problem. I think the book has a marvelous idea because the tarot can be so much more than just a divination system. But either it should base itself on being a beginner's book, going into details about this is what a tarot is, this is what ritual is, this is how you combine it, this is the basic outlines of a ritual, this blah 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 blah, and there be a much bigger book and base itself on being both a beginner ritual book and a beginner tarot book, or it should just get rid of all that very, very basic information and focus on what will be of interest to those who are um, at least somewhat experienced beginners and onwards, because as it is, it sort of doesn't know exactly where it wants to be. That being said, there is a lot of good advice in this book how to use the tarot for seasonal celebration, how to use it for the moons in the various astrological signs, how to use tarot and tarot ritual for every aspect of your life. All of this is great information. Like I said, a pretty nice section here about entering the cards. I mean, there's so much good in this book, and I so want to give it a absolutely glowing review because I think the concept is so great. And we definitely need a good book on combining ritual and the tarot. But at the same time, it's sort of, it wastes a lot of space just saying this is what the tarot is. This is where the various tarot cards are. It wastes a lot of time telling you just basic things without telling you other basics that a ranked beginner would need. So yeah, I would say that to get any use of this book, you should have read at least one other book on the tarot and one other book about ritual, and in particular pagan ritual, and preferably have some practical experience. And if you have done that, you know I don't know half of this already thin book. So yeah, the concept and quite a lot of the information is amazing. While yeah, it has the Phantom Menace syndrome. That's I think I want to call it. Great book, but with the Phantom Menace syndrome. So yeah, what will I give this book? 6 or 7 out of 10. I'll go for 6.5. Please, Bonnie Cehovet, write a bigger book. Either make it an actual beginner's book that an actual beginner can have use of, or get rid of the this is what a new moon is kind of information, because then you already know, and have more about rituals and the tarot and how to combine this and how to use that in everyday life and for spiritual development, physical development, and so on and so forth. Just have more of the good stuff in your book and less of the repeating basics. Or if you're gonna have basics, at least have enough basics that somebody can just pick it up and use it. So the book definitely have flaws like that, but the concept is really great, and I do recommend everybody is interested in the tarot and in ritual to pick this up, because using tarot in ritual, is particularly in magical and religious ritual, can be an extremely powerful tool. So yeah, give this book 6.5 out of 10, and that's my review of Tarot Rituals and You. The Power of the Tarot Combined with the Power of Ritual by Bonnie Cehovet. Hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day. Blessed be.